I'm Tony Ruiz of Gold Derby here with Phil Rosenthal, the star and creator and face at the center of Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix.
And belly.
Well, based on what you eat, Phil, it's amazing you're as felt as you are. That because I just look at some of the food you eat and I feel like I would gain 50 pounds.
Yeah, I have to pick my spots. I have to share everything. I don't finish anything, and I work out every day.
Oh, that's the secret. Oh, okay.
I also, a good diet tip is have 3 cameras on you when you're eating.
Well, and I wanted to talk about that because one of the things that I've noticed, I've been such a fan of the show since the beginning. And I remember the last time I spoke to you was 4 years ago, and you weren't even sure how much longer you would be doing the show. Is it surprising to you that it's still going after all this time?
Absolutely. And I'm so thrilled and I feel so lucky. I really do. I feel like I'm the luckiest person you're ever going to talk to. And I'm just so grateful, first of all, to Netflix for putting us on and then keeping us on. We're now their longest running unscripted show in their history.
Just a guy going around eating things.
Well, I think if you know the show, it can't just be about that. And at its heart, it's really not about that. I'm just using food and my stupid sense of humor to get you the real message, which is that I think the world would be better if we all could experience a little bit of other people's experiences.
Well, I feel like this season, we saw that a lot. And I think that point that you're bringing up was so perfectly exemplified in the Washington, D.C. episode, where you've got, Secretary Buttigieg and a Republican congressman sitting together. And I think you said,
yeah,
wouldn't it be just amazing if we all sat down and ate together?
Well, that seems to be, if not the answer, it's certainly an answer. And that scene was the important part of that episode. And it was not easy to achieve. It was not easy to get a Republican and a Democrat to sit down and eat together. And nothing speaks to our problems more than this. And yet these two men, Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican from Pennsylvania, and Pete Buttigieg, who's our transportation secretary, not only did they sit together, but they told me that the number one problem facing our country today is bipartisanship, which was never entered my mind. That, of course, that's the biggest problem because we won't solve any of the other ones unless we have a semblance of bipartisanship. And they are actually together in a bipartisanship committee called the Bipartisanship Committee. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know it had to be a thing, but it does have to be.
That's the thing. The fact that it even has to be a thing speaks to the importance of it.
Yes, we're in a world where we have to say the very obvious, where like the phrase Black Lives Matter has to be said out loud. It should never have to be said out loud. It should be understood by everybody. But we live in a world where it needs to be said, and that anti-Semitism is wrong, and that killing innocent children is wrong. Right? So the election's coming up, and not to get political, but for me, it's beyond politics. Do we want our democracy to flourish or even survive? Or do we not care about such things anymore?
And I feel like that is sort of exemplifies what the show is always about, which is how to bring people together when in fact it's so easy to bring people together.
It really is. It's a plate of food. It really is that easy. I did one of my favorite scenes we ever did was in Dubai. I went to a Palestinian woman's restaurant. I don't know if you got to see that one, but the world tells us that we're not supposed to be friends, let alone fall in love. And I love this woman. Her name is Salam Dukat, and she has I think she won Best Female Chef in the Middle East. And it was an absolutely magical experience to sit with her, to hear her story, to have her food, which was, I still can't explain it to you.
You were watching your face during that moment. I mean, you couldn't find the words.
I still can't. I still don't. It's like I saw a UFO. I really don't know what happened to me, but I felt this powerful emotion that brought me to tears, and I don't know what it was. I really don't. It couldn't just be that the food was so delicious. It couldn't just be that I liked this woman and I heard her story. There was something happened that transported me. It was almost like that moment in Ratatouille where the critic has the bite of ratatouille and he suddenly flashes back to his childhood when his mother took care of him after he skinned his knee and gave him the ratatouille, and now it's his favorite thing in the world, this dish. But I didn't feel like I was transported back to my mother making me. So I really don't know what it was, but that's the closest thing I can think of. Anyway, the main part and the best part of that story is that I'm still friends with this woman, and we DM each other all the time and send each other love, even with all the horrible things that have happened since then in the world. So again, this is not the answer to the problems in the Middle East, for example, but it is an answer.
And you also had that a similar scene. I think it was the Dubai episode when with the call to prayer. Was that the Dubai episode?
That was also in the Dubai episode. I'm in a Muslim country, and everyone, tens of thousands of people in the streets, breaking the Ramadan fast for the night. To be part of something that gigantic was very moving. It doesn't matter what your religion or belief is. This transcends that. It becomes this human tidal wave of kind of love, devotion, all participating in one thing in peace. This is a gorgeous ceremony, no matter what you believe.
Yeah, I have to tell you, my favorite episode was this season was the Kyoto episode.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like that place had such a profound impact on you. Talk about that episode between the 94-year-old, you know, teaching you how to cut fruit with a katana, which made me so happy.
Joe. Yeah, Samurai Joe. First of all, have you been to Japan?
No.
So I think, that episode's a pretty good ad for going, I think. I'd been to Tokyo once on the show. I think that was on the PBS show, but that was my only time in Japan other than this one. That was 10 years ago. So now this past year, I get to go to Kyoto. And Kyoto, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's one of the most serenely beautiful places on the face of the earth. Japan was bombed terribly during World War II. We all know this, but what was spared was Kyoto. They even talk about it in the movie Oppenheimer. The general in Oppenheimer goes, you can bomb anywhere, just don't bomb Kyoto. My wife and I had our honeymoon there and I like it. Right? That's in the movie.
That's right.
That's right. So they didn't bomb Kyoto. And so when you go, you see over 2,000 ancient shrines and temples that have been preserved. And not just the buildings, but the grounds. So forests that have been kept up. And everything is kind of manicured and beautiful. Absolutely breathtaking. I swear what I said in the show is true. I got a little sad my first day there because I was so taken with it immediately. It's so breathtaking immediately that I thought, oh, I only have a week here. That's not going to be enough. And you know what? Rene Redzepi was there with his NOMA staff. They were doing a pop-up NOMA in Kyoto, which we were lucky enough to get to. So talk about icing on the cake. I mean, that was just crazy that we were there at that particular time when that was happening. But he was there for 7 months, and he and his staff hated to leave. And they come from Copenhagen, which is,
not bad.
Not so bad either. Do you know they love it so much that they're going back in the fall to do it again?
I think I saw that. I researched them after I saw that episode.
Yeah. Maybe that's time for you to go. I mean, you don't need NOMA to get you there. It is. I honestly can't wait to go back. It is so beautiful and I'm so proud of our guys who filmed the show because they really did capture the exquisiteness of the place.
That's actually one of the things that I wanted to ask you about. I mean, what goes into when you're, especially when you're in the seventh season of a show, what
Yeah.
kind of conversation goes into the choosing of the locations?
Where I want to go, that's first. So I get to be lucky enough to dictate where we go. It all started with where I wanted to go, but now we have tourism boards calling us because people have seen, I guess, a pop in their business when when we show it on Netflix, right? So I understand that, but we still have to feel like there's enough material there, not just food, not just place to eat, but enough cultural things, maybe a charitable moment, an architectural beauty to the place, something special about the place, maybe something even unexpected about the place to warrant filming there for a week that will then be edited down into, almost an hour of TV. So there's always the TV head that's going on. It can't just be where I'd like to go. Also, I don't want to go to places that might seem redundant that we've been to, this this town in Maine, maybe this other town in Maine, and I'm not using Maine for any other reason than just the name. Every town in Maine is gorgeous and could obviously warrant its own thing. But if we did Maine last year, we're probably not doing another town in Maine this year, right? So that's all I mean. There's still a lot of places I haven't been. I haven't been to Greece in my life. We haven't filmed anywhere in Australia yet on the show, even though I've been there a couple of times. We haven't been to New Zealand. We haven't been to Shanghai or anywhere else in China other than Hong Kong. China's a pretty big place. We'd love to go. You can't go to Russia right now, right? Or maybe ever again. Who the hell knows? But there's, the country of Georgia that's supposed to be spectacular, and that's in that part of the world. So I'd love to go there. I haven't been to San Sebastian in Spain, which is one of the food capitals of the world. How could I have not been there yet? I'm kind of ashamed of myself.
I love that you're going into kind of like this self-hatred of the places you haven't been yet.
No, I'm a Jewish man. This is what we do.
The humor has to be so central to this show, and I have to tell you, just as a viewer, the interplay between you and Richard has become one of my favorite things. Just to hear him cackling off camera at everything he makes you do, whether it's swimming in the ice cold waters. I think it was Iceland.
Yes.
Or Scotland, one of the two.
That water was 1 degree above not water.
And there's Monica just going for it, which I
yeah, she's no fun. She likes everything.
But
she was perfectly happy to swim there for a couple hours. I was out in 10 minutes.
Well, but I'm curious, was that interplay between you and Richard? I mean, it's always kind of been there in the show, but it seems like a natural evolution at this point.
I think so. I think, I think the audience, no matter what they're watching, likes to see recurring characters. And this I learned from my sitcom days. By the way, is it an accident that there's a sibling rivalry at the heart of this show?
Probably not.
And the name of the other show was Everybody Loves Raymond, which was from the older brother's point of view, being jealous of his younger brother. The way Larry David came out from behind the camera to show you the real mind behind Seinfeld. I guess this is my version of that, except I would call my show Why Curb Your Enthusiasm?
You're always enthusiastic, unless you have to get in water that's not water.
We're just different characters. Yes, there are things. I'm still a human being. I still don't want to be uncomfortable in any way whatsoever. My brother says I have a 15 degree window of comfort. It's probably from 65 to 80 degrees, and anything outside those parameters, yeah, I'm too old now. No. And then he forces me to do it, and he forces me out of my comfort zone, and I have to. Don't tell him I said this. Please don't show this to him. But I'm very grateful, honestly, to be pushed out of my comfort zone, because without him, I wouldn't do it. And I'm always better for having done it. I don't enjoy it, but I am better for having done it. Does that make sense?
In more ways than you can possibly understand.
Right?
That I would need a lot of therapy and a lot of paid therapy to explain.
Our biggest fear is the unknown, right? That's what keeps us on the couch. That's what keeps us from traveling. That's from keeps us from exploring new ideas or listening to anybody else, right? Is afraid of something. But the more things you do outside your comfort zone, the more you know, and the more you know, the less you're afraid. Because now the unknown is known.
Yeah, that almost kind of sums up the Mumbai episode as you're walking through that market, and hundreds of thousands of people. And I believe, if I remember correctly, you were saying like it's like the quietest. It's unnervingly quiet in that 100,000 people market.
It's very strange in that there's an order to the seeming chaos. It's peaceful chaos. There's a part of town where when night falls, every manner of human, animal transportation is all converging, no traffic lights, everyone beeping, but they're not beeping, hey, get out of my way, a-hole. It's I'm here, coming through, bop, bop. This is how we're communicating without traffic lights. Beep, beep, bop, bop, beep, beep, right? Here comes a cow. It's insane. But I love it. I love it. And at first, it's very disorienting because we're not used to this. But by the second night, you're like, I get it. I get it. Here's a different way of life. It's not better or worse. It's just different. And there's things to be taken from it. Listen, there's things to be taken from, let's say, the Japanese aesthetic, right? Of making everything. My joke is that you go to Japan and you buy a pack of gum from the drugstore. They wrap it for you as if it's for your 100th birthday. Little children as young as 3 years old are out on the street doing errands for their parents. What? You're like, what is going on? This kid is alone on the street. First of all, they've learned how to navigate streets. They understand the stoplight. They understand go. They understand. And there's no fear from them or their parents. Why? Because the entire community cares for the children. The entire community cares for the children. We can't learn from this. We can't take this into account. Where are our priorities? So there's stuff to learn from every one of these trips.
So in that spirit, how long do you want to keep this going?
Until I die. Well, who wouldn't want to do this? Again, I'm the luckiest man you're ever going to. Do you know it took me 10 years to get this show? And that was after Raymond. A lot of people think, oh, I got the show because I did Raymond, and they just gave me whatever I wanted. No, you know the business. They're not thrilled for you to change lanes. And God forbid, put this face on camera. Who the hell are you? What have you ever done? Write another sitcom. 10 years. And I say to you, ask me, was it worth it? Yes, because look at me now.
Look at you now and all the things you get to eat and enjoy and experience.
And the best part is the people. That's the very best part. I always say food is the great connector. That's what it's for. Yes, we all like to eat, but we all got to eat. And so it's a very relatable thing. So that I can meet someone who doesn't speak English or doesn't have our way of life at all. And if I eat with them, we understand each other for the moment. And that's the first bridge. I always say food is the great connector. And then for me, laughs are the cement. If we share a smile or a laugh while we're eating, now we're friends. Now we can build upon that.
Well, Phil, congratulations on another great season, and I will be happy to watch it forever. Everybody go to goldderby.com, make your predictions for the upcoming award season, and stay tuned for interviews with more contenders in the coming weeks. Phil Rosenthal, always great to see you.
Thank you, my friend. I'll see you in Sacramento.